I want you to understand that everything you know about money is probably wrong. Because if you ask 99.9% of people about how money is made and, what would you do to make money, etc., what they're gonna say is wrong. Okay, just straight up wrong. No elaboration either. They're just wrong. Okay? And I'd say the first thing to go over is to get rid of this idea in your mind of how money works. Regarding how you make it. How you don't make money, right? You don't create money, but you make it in the sense that you do things in exchange for money. So there's the model of money, and this is related to how school teaches you to progress in life. Right? It's this graph, make the line red, of, first grade, second grade, third grade, fourth grade, fifth grade, sixth grade, seventh grade. Or if it's a job, you make, 10 an hour. I'm pretty sure no one makes $10 an hour anymore, but just as a litmus, 10, and you get a raise to 12, you get a raise to 14, and you get a raise to 16, and, if you become a manager, you get up to 18, 20, 22, etc. And this is like linear line. But the point is that even from the start, even from the first day you go into the job, you are getting paid, and you know what you're getting paid. Okay, this is linear. Okay? It's a linear graph. There's no spikes, but it's consistent. Okay? Now, here's the problem with people trying to make their own money. Okay? And it's most of you guys, because you guys are probably tired of having some fat woman telling you what to do. Not only is it a woman, it's also a fat one. Here's that. This is how success is when you're doing your own thing. And also, this applies to when you're in the gym. This applies to when you're learning things yourself. This applies to anything you're doing as an individual that is not within a confined system. It's exponential. Okay? Sip water. Check this out. So, this was how it was for me. I mean, I would make a 0, 0, 100, 0, 0, 150, 0, 0, 50, 100, and then 1 month, I went from, whatever, ignore the squiggly line. Went from 0, 4K, boom, 1 month. It's an exponential spike. So the point that you guys have to understand is, a lot of the people I talk to who are trying to make money, they get confused because when they start trying to make money themselves, right, they start getting stuck at these points, these low points, because they're doing work, but they're not getting results. If they spent 8 hours at McDonald's, they'll make their whatever amount an hour. But if they work 8 hours in their own business, they might make nothing. But the point is that there's like an invisible graph. There's an invisible line of linear progress. Now, it's not totally linear because some days are better than others in terms of how much smarter you get. But there's like this linear graph. And it's like, okay, let's redo it and I'll talk while I'm doing it so it makes sense. On day one, it's like, okay, now, I set up the business, making the logo, I'm learning this about business. Ooh, I learned this. I'm going to add this to the store. I'm going to add this to the store. I'm going to take this marketing angle. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do this. So these little actions. And realize, at a certain point, and this line's invisible, and you can't definitively know where you are on this line. It's kind of like in a video game. Sometimes you have to gain XP, but you can't see your XP bar. You just have to do it until you get the result you're looking for. And the point is, once this linear line gets to a point, you get this big results. So, in some ways, it's actually the same. And that it's linear, but the difference is the linear isn't a feedback loop. You don't get any feedback from this linear line aside from you just thinking that you're getting better. Right? So that's the first thing to go over. Okay, you have to be ready for, I don't like hustle culture, I don't like saying grind. You have to get ready for this time period where it seems like nothing's going right. Because that's the first step. Right? Now, that need to be over first, because I don't want you guys going through this with flawed assumption, because you guys might listen to everything I say, you might start and think it's BS, because you fall into that trap. So, that being said, here's the actual plan, with that in mind. So, you guys are, I'm going to assume you guys are in either your late teens or early 20s. You could be older, it doesn't really matter. But the point is, you guys are either at work or you're at school for an average of about 6 hours a week. or 6 hours a day per week. /week. And I know school goes 7 or 8 hours and work goes 7 or 8 hours. Depends on the job, obviously, part-time, full-time. But the point is that you have 2 days off, usually. Again, these are generalities. But the point is that you guys are working, you guys are going to school. If you're not, then this will be even faster for you. But the point is that you guys have to be smart with how you schedule your time. Because right now, there's 2 things. There's maintenance, and then there's growth. Both different types of tasks. So for instance, if I work 8 hours at Burger King, those 8 hours are going to keep me to the point where I can keep working 8 hours at Burger King. It's not going to move me up. It could make me a manager at Burger King after a few years, but that's not that big of a jump, is it? Right? Still in the same realm. But the point is that that's different from spending 8 hours learning how to start a business. Because if you learn how to start a business, that allows for big growth. Allows for growth, not just maintenance. I assume you won't be stuck learning about how to start a business forever. You learn how to start a business, you start a business, and that's growth. So that task leads to growth. Meanwhile, working 8 hours at Burger King leads you to be in the same place. So what you have to understand is that you are, right now, assuming you make no money, and this will be useful for people who do make money, as a way of understanding how to scale a little bit. But for you guys who currently either go to school or work a regular job, you guys are like down here in terms of freedom. Okay? Go on the internet, say something that's somewhat controversial, something like I say every single day on here, and you lose your job. Possible. Depending on, how fortunate you are. And the point is that you are trying to go from here to here, like freedom, I make my own money, blah, 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 right? The point is that if you are just doing these maintenance tasks, you're going to stay here. It's going to flatline you, okay? And this is school, and this is work, unless you're doing school specifically for, you have a really good idea what you want to do school with, or what you want to do with school. Because there's too many people out there who talk about, I'm going to go to school, and I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, but they don't end up doing any of it. It's a complete waste of time. So what you need to do is understand that these 6 hours a day per week, on average, or 8 hours Monday through Friday, or whatever your schedule is not taking you anywhere new. Okay? And I say this because there's kind of a tendency, after we spend like 4 or 5 hours doing something, like, oh my God, that was so much work, I've been so productive. No, you haven't, because you're not going to get anywhere new with that. And you don't even like where you are. So in reality, you're keeping yourself in the cycle. So what you need to do is be smart with how you schedule your days. So you need to understand, first of all, in a day, let's say it's not the weekend, let's say it's a Monday, assuming you guys work on Mondays, this is your 12-hour window of being awake, right? That's assuming you have 12 hours in bed. If you have like 8, 10, 11, whatever, adjust for that. Let's say 12. You split in half. 24, half of that's 12. Okay, you're spending like half of your day, a little bit over half your day actually, at like school. Okay. This, and black will be maintenance. Your goal from then is to make as many of the hours that you're not in school or /work. As many of those hours as possible, you want to be focusing on growing. Okay? Now, I'm not saying you have to spend literally every minute trying to grow. There's time to get ready for bed. There's time to eat, so on and so forth. But the point is that the more hours you rack up into this growth bank, the sooner you're going to hit this spike. Okay? The more hours you put into this, like hours, 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours. You don't know how many hours it will take, but after a certain amount of hours, you will hit this spike. Okay? So your goal is to put as many hours in the bank, high quality hours. And this is simply for you guys who are trying to start a business. It's either learn, or try. Okay? And ideally, you want to be trying more than you are learning when it comes to business, because I'll tell you guys something. Making money isn't that hard. Some of you sounds crazy, and I kind of understand that because I remember when I made zero money, $0. The idea of making $100 was like $100. Like, no way, $100. Not me. Crazy. Then I made $100, and then I did that thousands of more times, and then I kind of realized, it's nothing. Same thing goes for $1,000. Not much. Now, there's different tiers of it. So I'm like, in all honesty, like, this is the tiers of money, okay? You have the people that can't even spend $1. Okay, they're like down here. Then you have people who can spend $10 at will. Then 20, and then 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 100. And then like 200 to 400 is like where I'm at. If I need to spend $500 at any point, it's not that big of a deal. In fact, my laptop died like 3 weeks ago, and I've spent like $1,300 on a laptop instantly. Here's the thing, I'm small fry, okay, in reality of, making money, because there's people who are like $1 million, 1,000, 10,000, 50,000, 100,000, etc. So, appreciate your first win. Appreciate, any amount of money you make, but always remember, there's tiers to this, there's levels to it. So, I don't say that for you then to kind of look down upon yourself. I say that to say, hey, don't worry too much about down here. Like, if you lose $5, who cares? In my case, if you lose $100, who cares? You can make a lot more. There's plenty of money in the world. Okay, and there's no reason why you can't take a pretty good share of it, whatever amount you need. Okay? So that was good, Emperors. But yeah. So, you want to be spending as much time as possible growing. On the weekends, dedicate yourself towards growth. Okay? Now you understand this growth zone. What exactly leads to growth? You said learning or trying, but let's get more specific about it. Learning. So this is about yourself plus external. And external means like, oh, this is a business model, this is how you open a Stripe, this is how you open a PayPal, so on and so forth. But you learn about yourself first and foremost, because this lecture is a little bit isolated from, let's say, my mindset stuff. And I always say mindset comes before money, right? That's part of it. But another part of it is understanding what you're good at. Okay, because ultimately making money can be boiled down to this. Okay? Making money is just about solving problems. Person has a problem, you come in, you say, I have the solution, this is how much I'm going to charge. If they think it's worth it, they'll pay you. That's it. And obviously do a good job. And you get more people. Making money is very simple. Okay? Sticking it out can be a little hard sometimes, but the process is very simple. But here's the thing. Most of you guys have literally no skills. Like, if I ask you to do something, you can't do it for me. Okay? Like, the most skills that a lot of you guys have is just playing Siege, or something like that. And unfortunately, you're not even good enough to get paid. Not even good enough to be a pro. So, if I were to ask you, hey, what can you do for other people that is valuable? And you say nothing, or you can't think of anything, you have a problem. Very big problem. Because that means you basically can't make money unless you get into scamming or something. Which you should not do. Okay? But if you have no skills, you can't make any money. So, let's say you're in a state of no skills. Which is honestly very scary, because that means you're basically useless. Okay? It means you're like dead weight on society. So if you have no skills, okay, we'll develop some skills. What skills should you develop? Okay, what do you like? I like Fortnite. I know that's literally the first answer, like, because I've asked some people and that's literally their answer. It's like, oh god. But yeah, you kind of need to think of things. This guy goes into the meaning section. I'll go into later, but you got to really think about what you want to do for the rest of your life. Because if I were to ask you a lot of you guys, like, imagine, you said you like Fortnite. Okay, imagine playing Fortnite like 8 hours a day. Most of them wouldn't actually like that. It's kind of like eating a full tub of ice cream. But beyond that, imagine playing Fortnite 8 hours a day when you're 35. In their minds comes like, oh, that guy's a loser. That's because they know, doing that's for losers. But the thing is that they have like cognitive dissonance. They don't want to they don't want to admit that. They don't like the sound of that. They don't like the sound of that being done. And, it's a process everyone goes through. Because I remember when I was, like, 11 or 12, when I first got on Discord and playing Roblox basketball, so I played in leagues, there'd be, like, people who were, like, 17 or 18, I'd be like, oh, man, these guys are so old. But now I'm 19. And I don't play that anymore. But the point is that now it's like, whoa, I can easily be playing that right now. Right? Never look at yourself like, oh, when I get older, I'm going to completely change so much. You're not. Okay? Unless you change now, you're never going to change. And I mean that literally. Never rely on the future for change. Rely only on the present for change. So anyways, yourself, you have no skills, get skills. Okay, get good. What skills should you develop? Okay, what do you like? Maybe you like helping people. Maybe you like the gym. Helping. Maybe you like writing. Maybe you like making videos. Maybe you like, the process of reselling, like flipping, etc. So many different things to like. Okay, if you can't think of one, then you just aren't trying, or you just don't want to make money. In which case, more for me. So, and more for everyone else who actually listens to this video. So, with that being said, okay, skills. Okay, you develop these. So that becomes growth time. Growth, you get good at these. And the truth is, you don't need to be that good at anything. Okay, to make money with it. Because there's a bunch of gym influencers who give terrible advice. There's a bunch of people who do what I'm doing right now who suck at it. There's a bunch of people who resell who are like middle-aged moms who have barely any idea what they're doing. And there's people who are copywriters that use AI for 90% of their things. Okay? So, I believe in providing a good service. Don't scam people. Get good at whatever you're doing. But don't get in this mindset of like, oh, I need to be so good at it. No, you don't. Okay? You'd be surprised at how incompetent people who work at big companies are. Okay? Now, let's into the next part. So, growth time, skills. Okay, now skills, what else? So, it's going to be, let's do skill. It's going to be skill plus, this relates to yourself. So, it's yourself. Point to skill plus an external thing, which is how to start a business. Okay, and there's a lot of traps here, because you might watch these videos that people make like, 10 businesses you can start with AI today. Those businesses are all garbage. It's like you copy and pasting stuff and making like wallpapers in Canva. Unless you have a very unique angle, unless you're like the only person doing it, you're not going to make money doing that. Okay? So, what I mean by how to start is, it's very simple. Okay? This is all you need, because so many people get caught up in like, oh, I need a trademark, I need an LLC, I need this, I need that. Forget about that stuff. Okay? All you need to do is this. Okay, I have a product that ties to here. Okay? Product. Okay, next. What else do you need? You need a way to get paid. Okay, get a PayPal. Get a Stripe. Okay, you need a way to market yourself. Okay, make videos, do something, showcase your skills. Boom, equals money. It's that simple. Okay, I see so many people overcomplicating it. Now, it's true. You're going to be subject to this exponential graph. It's not going to happen instantly. But the point is that if you just follow that formula, you're going to make money sooner than later. And if you aren't making money, okay, you need to get one of these fixed. Okay, maybe your product sucks. Make your product better. Maybe your marketing sucks. Make it better. Maybe your payment way to get paid is too complicated. Okay, get better at that. Although I don't know how, because Stripe and PayPal literally give you the most intuitive payment system possible. You can literally give someone a Stripe link. And it's just, okay, put your name, put your credit card information, this is where you're buying, done. Okay, it's not the 1990s anymore. Payment processing so easy. But it's mainly going to be product. Okay? Maybe you're providing a product that no one really wants. Okay? Change the angle. Make it a bit more enticing. In fact, let's talk about that. Talk about product. What makes a good product? And product is whatever you're getting paid for. So a product could be training, could be a literal product like selling a pen, so on and so forth. It makes a good product. Okay, the first thing that makes a good product is people want it, or demand. You'd be surprised at how many people fail at that step. Okay? And it's especially sad that they fail because demand is the easiest part. Okay? People buy unicorn fart slime. If you're selling something so no one wants, then you must be really bad at it. Okay? You must be really bad at this. Because finding out what people want is so simple. Okay, just look at what other people are selling, look at what people are watching on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, so on and so forth, and literally just don't copy it. I'm talking about that later. But take your own angle on it. Let's say you really like writing. Okay, there's copywriting. But everyone does copywriting, it seems. There's a lot of demands, you want to go after it. Okay, let's do copywriting for, let's say, doctors, dentists, agency owners, etc. Demand. Okay, it's demand plus differentiation. So that's 2. I'll make it different. Okay, it can't be literally the same, but don't reinvent the wheel. Just add different, add sprinkles and different stars or whatever to the wheel, but don't reinvent it. Okay, 3. Pay. What does that mean? The people you're targeting have to be able to pay you. Okay? If you're trying to sell Coco Melon merchandise and you're trying to target 5-year-olds, there's a very fundamental problem there. 5-year-olds can't pay you. Their parents can, but then you should be targeting the parents. You shouldn't be saying, "Oh, look at the Coco Melon. Oh, the Coco Melon's so nice. Oh, don't you want it? Oh my god." Yeah, that type of marketing, if you want to give something to a 5-year-old and convince them to take it from you, that works great. But 5-year-olds don't have money. So if you want money, you gotta make it look like, oh, your 5-year-old, they're gonna love this Coco Melon doll. And this Coco Melon doll is gonna have them leave you alone for hours and be able to do what you really want to do with your life. Your son's gonna be very happy with it. So see, I'm selling the same product, but I'm changing the angle. I'm targeting people that can actually pay for the product. So I can actually make money. So, really, there's a lot of the selling is about angles. Okay, so demand has to be somewhat different, but don't reinvent the wheel. And the people you're targeting have to be able to pay you. Okay? That being said, market. And market's heavily tied to product. If you have a good product, marketing is usually easy. But 1, I won't repeat these. These all basically transfer into here. 1 is going to be angle. Now, it's related to pay, but it's different. I'm going to take a different approach here. This is different from targeting people who have money. Now, what you're doing is targeting within the target. You're trying to figure out, what can I say, what can I display, that will make people who have money buy my product. And it's very simple. Desires. Okay? What do people want? Now, there's niche desires and there's global desires. Global desires are things like, I want food, I want shelter, I want validation, I want love. Right? There's very simple. Okay? Those are global desires. Then you have niche desires. So maybe you're in a niche of, I don't know, Legos. And there's a really rare Lego set. So like a rare Lego set. Because they're collectors and they really want to buy it. Maybe, I'll just spurg out on that. Like, I'll leave it to me to figure out my flow. Okay, Lego. Rare Legos. Maybe people really want, a new album. You're selling albums. I don't know why you would do that, but if someone wants there's a new album, there's high demand for it. Okay, you have to target what people like. Influencers. Maybe someone really likes Jake Paul for some reason. Actually, Logan Paul, because at least Jake fights. Okay, at least it's somewhat respectable. Logan's just gay, so maybe like Logan Paul for some reason. Okay, target that, angle it. So like, oh, you can't really use his name because you don't want to get in trouble. Although it's rare under a smaller scale thing, but it's not a good practice to build. But Logan Paul, maybe his fan base likes the saying like Maverick or whatever. Say like, be a Maverick, like Mavericks like this, etc. Okay, not the best example because I don't know much about Logan Paul, but the point is that you want to target what people like, global desire, and then the niche desire within a community. Right? And 2, you want to become one. Become one with your target audience. And for my business, this has been a big feather in my cap, because the things I sell were things that I used to buy myself. So when I sold my products, I knew what people were looking for. I knew what they liked, what they didn't like. I knew all the ins and outs. Okay? So this will be a problem for some of you guys who might go into a niche that you don't fully understand. Like maybe you're targeting dentists. Maybe you're even selling makeup, like you're drop shipping it. The point is that you need to understand what your audience really wants. You have to be, if it's a community, you have to invest yourself in the community. You have to immerse yourself. Okay? If you don't already know about it, check Reddit. And don't, like if you open Reddit, try not to have your hair instantly turn blue. You get like a nose ring. But check Reddit. Check YouTube. Join Discords. Read what they're saying. Read the common opinions. Learn a little about the lore, etc. When you become one with the community, you can then make good marketing campaigns and good social media posts. Next, 3. I'll use the word rhetoric. So that applies to words as well. Learn rhetoric. Okay? I'm not going to go into a whole rhetoric lesson, but generally speaking, think about everything I just said, package it into one, but now you're including things like tone, colors, fonts, etc. Humor. Humor is a big one. Humor, if you can be funny, then that's like 90% of marketing done, because to convince someone, generally speaking, there's ethos, logos, or pathos. Okay, you've heard these a million times. Pathos is emotion. Ethos is liking / credibility. And actually, I'll just frame it from this, and this is like reasons, like logical reasons. Like liking, funny. Being funny is the easiest way to get someone to like you, because they're laughing at you. Like, or laughing with you, rather, not at you. Let's be specific. Like, in your direction, based on what you said. They're gonna like you, man. That's just a natural. Liking is easy to do via humor. Credibility. Display your work. If your work's good, that's easy. Reason. Us versus them. Us versus competitors. Pathos. Emotion. Very simple. Okay? Emotion. Make them feel. You gotta make them feel something when they watch your content. Don't be boring. Don't go like, yeah, so if you buy my product, then you'll feel good. No. You gotta evoke emotion. You gotta be like, you know what? This product is going to change your life. Okay, this product is so amazing. Alright? All that time you waste trying to get these chicks, that's gonna be completely fixed in my dating course. Now, with what I said, that's a bit salesy, but I'm trying to get a point across. You have to feel they have to think that you actually like what you're doing. And the point is that this is people charge so much money for what I'm about to tell you. So listen. When you're trying to get someone to do something, first and foremost, you have to get that feeling within yourself. So then you can transfer it. Okay? Let's say there's me. Okay? Let's get the shoulders in. There we go. Me. Oh my god. So bad at drawing. Okay. Alright, me. Jesus Christ, I can't do that. I cannot do that with a straight face. Okay, there's me. Okay, I'm gonna draw muscles, get my shoulders in, get my pecs in. Go, I'm not gonna say what that is. And then me, and then got a little teenager right here, all of mine. And then there is person, regular persons. Okay. Now, when I speak, okay, let's say I want to get, let's set the stage a little bit more. Let's say I want him to go in this direction. Okay? In order for me to do that, when I speak, through not only my words, but the way I say the words, the way I move, the way I posture, etc., I need to internalize the feeling of, you know what, this is a good thing to do. I believe you should go here. And I believe I should go there as well. You should feel that. And you feel it so much. And you're You're not like that, but you feel it so much. When you speak, it oozes out to them. And it's just so appealing. They can't resist following your proposition. And if you want really good examples of this, hold on. If you want really good examples of this, what's good, Mark? Let's open YouTube. Well, I mean, it's on YouTube, so... This is on YouTube, so I shouldn't get banned for showing something on YouTube. On YouTube, right? So, the best person who ever did this was Hitler. Okay, just straight up. So, is my audio... I have to make sure my audio output's right. Because on speakers... So see how he speaks? It's with very strong. He says it with such conviction, right? So like if you just listen to him. If you wanna let me get another one. Remember there was one I was watching that was like perfectly illustrated this. You guys should get the point. The point is that when he speaks with such a conviction, with such a deep-seated conviction, that when you listen, it gets transferred over to you, and then you start gaining that deep-seated conviction. Okay? So, the point is, when you speak, you want to illustrate this conviction in your own way. Okay, you don't have to, like, Arschbicken, or however, I don't know any German words, so, or Guten Tag. But, you know, you don't need to speak like this. You could speak with a certain sincerity. You just really believe what you're saying. Or you can yell, or you can even do this thing where you're not fully yelling, but it feels like you're containing the yell. You know, that's how you gotta speak when you're trying to convince someone of something. Or you gotta say with humor. Like, it's just so obvious. Like, oh, I mean, we're gonna go that way. And that way is just so good. Did say it crazy, but, you know, when I say it, you get this certain idea like, huh, you know, he just seems so confident. I mean, surely it's a good way to go. That's the way you gotta think. And you can do this in multiple different ways. You don't have to speak to someone directly. You can make it through a video. You know, you can show a certain type of confidence with the type of content you post, the ideas you have, so on and so forth. Häagen-Dazs. That's good. But, yeah, you have to convey a conviction when you're trying to convince someone of something. Alright? And honestly, logos is probably the least important thing when it comes to convincing people of things. It used to be more important, but it's not very important now. Okay? Don't abandon it. Don't come up with irrational things. But you only need it to sound logical. You don't need to be actually logical. Okay? And that's why scammy salesmen are able to do what they do. But in any case, don't scam. In any case. Okay, rhetoric. So there you go. Okay? How do you start an actual good business? Well, you get this formula down, product. Who's paying you? What's your what's your product? Can you get paid? What's your market? Okay. If that sucks, you have to get better at it. How do you get better at it? Okay, product, demand, has to be different. Has to be targeted people who pay. And then for marketing, what's your angle? Become one with your audience. And rhetoric. Right? And one other thing I'll go over is adjacent niches. And this is the biggest cheat code, okay? Adjacent niches. So let's say you want to make SpongeBob content. You can look at people who are making SpongeBob content, But there's something even better. That's a good way to get a litmus of what's going on. It's even better. What do people like SpongeBob also usually like? Well, they usually like Nickelodeon. They usually also like Cartoon Network. And probably like other cartoons. So, what's my point with this? The point is that what you can do is look at people who are making Nickelodeon content about, say, like, Hey Arnold. People are making cartoon content about whatever happened to Robot Jones. I needed to get that reference in there, okay? No one's gonna know what that is, but I just needed to get that reference in there, okay? Forgive me. Cartoons, maybe like Ed, Edd, and Eddy. So the point is, now you look into these communities, like, okay, what do people who watch Hey Arnold, what are their videos like? What titles do they use? What thumbnails do they use? What ideas do they play with? Take all of these, okay? And then reformat for SpongeBob. That's the easiest way to ideate. You're literally just copying, or you're just sticking your niche into there. So, for instance, and this applies if you're doing copywriting for doctors, look at how people market copywriting for gym owners. And modify it. Just tweak it so it fits your niche. Okay, this applies to literally everything. This is the easiest way to know what to do. Just copy, then you modify a little bit. You never have to reinvent the wheel to make money. Alright, so let's say someone makes a Hey Arnold video like, Arnold... They make a video say like, yo, no way Arnold did that. Like one of those retarded Instagram captions. Okay, and let's say it's a topic of Arnold, you doing something crazy. Something that looks sus. Okay? It's like, okay, make it for SpongeBob. Yo, no way Patrick did that. And then have it be something sus that Patrick's doing. Boom, views. Because it's already a proven method, isn't it? I swear I've done that and I've gotten millions of views. It's literally that simple. Okay? So, yeah, that's the rhetoric, the adjacent niche aspect of this. And all you're doing is this time that the time that you have dedicated to growth. Okay? You're just repeating the cycle. You learn, you try. You learn, you try. You learn, you try. Learn, try. Learn, try. So, again, I understand a lot of you guys at school. I understand a lot of you guys at work. But there's time when you're not. Okay? And that time should be dedicated towards growth. Tasks that grow you. And make money. And here's the other thing. And this kind of ties into before. This is our closing remark for this section about making money. You have to remember, there is no such thing, do not expect a business to make money in the first week, 2 weeks, or 3 weeks. That's what you do for a job. That's what you do for the linear. Or doing exponential. So you have to rack up these hours doing the tasks that get you where you want to be. Eventually you're going to hit the spike. Okay? Very important.